Hello guys, very good evening and a very warm welcome to the Dhammakedar, Farratedar and Mazdar session by Embibe. This is Pritesh, your host, your host and a proud educator, welcoming you to the very public demanded session, that is one shot revision of your grade 8 biology. ठीक है अब you all are I've got a lot of love and a lot of support when whenever I have taught grade 6 to 8 and few days back मैंने अपने Instagram पे एक पोल किया था that कौन से grade का आपको one shot revision चाहिए and I got maximum votes for grade 8. तो I have got a grade 8 science का especially bio का एक one shot revision session. We are starting at 7 o'clock and we'll go up to 9, 9:30, 10 o'clock and we'll be finishing all the chapters of your grade 8. Right? अभी थोड़ी देर पहले I think like 20 minutes back we did a session on the new syllabus update by NCERT. लेकिन 8th स्टैंडर्ड वालों के लिए एक न्यूज़ है, गुड और बैड ये आप डिसाइड कीजिए कि ग्रेड 8 के सिलेबस में कोई भी चेंजेस नहीं है. ग्रेड 8 के साइंस के सिलेबस में देयर आर नो चेंजेस एट ऑल. हाय साइक्लोपीडिया, हाउ आर यू? राइट, तो ग्रेड 8 के जो हमारे साइंस के चैप्टर्स है, वेदर इट इज crop production and management, microorganisms, then reproduction, adolescence, आपका conservation of plants and animals and pollution. तो ये 6 के 6 चैप्टर्स आपके ग्रेड 8 के वैसे ही हैं. There are no changes in grade 8 science syllabus. Right? So today I'll be revising with you all these chapters. If you have any doubts at any point of time, you can just ask me. I'm available for you. Also guys, if you don't want to miss out on any updates that whatever I'm doing on the channel, you can follow me on my Insta handle, that is biology with Pritesh. तो मेरा जो Insta handle है वो है biology with Pritesh. ठीक है, that's my Insta handle. So follow me right there and then we'll be doing we'll be chatting and we'll be connecting. ठीक है, will there be new sessions for class 8? Yes, definitely. We are starting a new academic year for grade 8 very soon. Also for all grade 8ers, remember Saturday को 5 बजे, on Saturday that is 1st April at 5 PM, I am doing an orientation session for everybody. For all grade 8ers, those who are going to grade 8, उनके लिए एक exclusive orientation session होगा. It will be for all the subjects. Also, you guys have to attend it with your parents, with your friends, with your family members. So make sure कि those who are entering your grade 8, they do attend the session on Saturday at 6 o'clock. Those who are or at 5 o'clock. Those who are going in grade 9, they can attend the session at 6 o'clock. And those who are going to grade 10, they can attend the session at 7 o'clock. So 5, 6 and 7 PM, there is an orientation session on Saturday. Make sure that you guys come in large numbers because I'm doing it exclusively for you and your parents. ठीक है? Also, guys, telling you a little bit about the amazing Embibe page. So this page gives you unlimited, free of cost, beautiful immersive learning and an interactive experience of test, assignment, study material, question, solution, explanation to solution, books, reference books, NCERTs of any board, any grade, any subject and in any language. So make sure that you check out the Embibe page and also you can download the Embibe app which is freely available on Google Store and Apple Store. Now guys, I want you guys to connect with us on Telegram as well because here you keep on getting all the updates, whatever is happening on the channel. And apart from that, you get the PDFs of the session. And also if you have any academic doubts, you can ask over here from your educators. So make sure that you connect with us on Telegram as well. Okay? And I told you about my Insta handle, that is biology with Pritesh. Now, let's start the one shot revision. Okay? So we are starting with the chapter crop production and management and microorganisms friend and foe. After that we'll be doing conservation, reproduction, adolescence and pollution. So let us start with crop production. Crops क्या होते हैं? So crops are a single type of plant which are grown on a large scale. ठीक है? See this, what you are seeing over here, these are nothing but crops. ठीक है? They are a single type of plant which are grown on a large scale. Now when I talk about agriculture, agriculture basically is the process of food and production of food and food products. ठीक है? So now when I'm talking about food and food products, it can be plants, it can be animals. And India में जो crops हैं, they are divided on the basis of seasons. They are classified on the basis of seasons, right? So what is crop? Crop is basically a single type of plant grown on a large scale. Okay, this is the definition of crop. Now crop in India are divided on the basis of seasons. Okay, so I have got Kharif crop, Rabi crop and Zaid crop. ठीक है? Kharif crop is monsoon crop. It needs a lot of water. It is sown in June, July when the monsoon starts and harvested in September, October. Example will be rice and soya or maize. Whereas when I talk about Rabi crops, they are nothing but my winter crops. They are sown in October, November, harvested in Feb, March. Example, wheat, gram, mustard. And your Zaid crops are the summer crops. They are harvested in March, April and sown in March, April, harvested in May, June. Example, your muskmelon. Nowadays you will see the markets are full with muskmelon, watermelon, cucumbers, onions. ठीक है? So these are the different types of crops in India, right? Now when I talk about the word agriculture, agriculture means production of food and food products, and that is why agriculture is not limited to farming of crops. Agriculture also includes animal husbandry like cattle, dairy, poultry and fish farming, honeybee, that is pisciculture, apiculture, etc. But now the current syllabus of your NCERT has removed animal husbandry from this chapter. So we will be only discussing crops, types of crops and the 7 agricultural practices. ठीक है? So once you are done, you can either take a screenshot or you can watch the replay, whatever you find suitable. ठीक है? Now I'll just erase this. If you want to take a screenshot, let me know, or else I'll just erase this and move ahead. ठीक है? Fine. So now when I talk about agricultural practices are the practices which I do to make sure that I get a successful harvest, right? And there are 7 in number. First and foremost is preparation of soil. Which can be done either by plowing, which is done by plowing, tilling and leveling, where I can use a wooden log, I can use a plow. ठीक है? Then after the soil is prepared, now it is time for the farmer to sow the seeds. Now these seeds can be sown in a traditional method, which means broadcasting or the funnel method, or he can use the modern method which is known as a seed drill. Seed drill is a machine that helps to sow the seeds at perfect distance and perfect depth. If the seeds are sown a lot on the surface, the birds will eat them. If the seeds are sown very, very deep, they will not be able to germinate. So the seeds have to be sown at a perfect depth and equal distance from each other. If they are very close, they will not be able to germinate. If they are very far, it is a wastage of space, right? So that is why modern methods are very, very effective. Traditional methods include broadcasting. Broadcasting means just throwing the seeds randomly like this. तो हो सकता है that at some place there are lot of seeds and there at some place where there are very less seeds. Hi Nisha, very good evening, welcome to the session. ठीक है? After preparation of soil and sowing the seeds, now the farmer has to make sure that the seeds are getting good food, and that is why he supplies manure and fertilizers to the seeds. Manure is organic, slow, but increases the soil fertility, gives an added texture to the soil. Whereas, hi Isha, fertilizers are inorganic, they are prepared in the factories. Examples of fertilizer will be your urea, NPK, super potash, right? What is vermicomposting? So vermicomposting is when you are preparing compost with the help of worms. That is called as vermicompost. And to make vermicompost, you need earthworms and red wrigglers. ठीक है? Exactly, Isha, you're right. Hi Adarsh. Definitely manure. Manure is very slow, but then it is useful in the long run, right? They are very slow acting, but they are useful in the long run. Now, after adding manure and fertilizers, the farmer's duty is to supply water to the crops at regular intervals, and that is irrigation. What is irrigation? It is the artificial supply of water at regular intervals. Now, irrigation can be done in the modern way using sprinkler or drip irrigation, or it can be done in the traditional way. Here I will give you a very, very easy trick to remember the traditional modes of irrigation. A very, very easy trick I will give you, and the trick is Mr. Donald can run. जहाँ पे M से आया मोट, D से आया ढेकली, C से आया चेन पंप एंड R से आया राहट. ठीक है? The modern methods, that is of sprinkler and drip irrigation, it is used on uneven land, it gives water like a shower, right? And drip irrigation is for places where excuse me, drip irrigation is for places where there is water scarcity and water is given only drop by drop directly to the root of the plant, right? And after irrigation, thank you so much Isha for reminding, that is weeding. Now, weeds का मतलब क्या है? Weeds are the unwanted plants that grow with my crops. Now, if for example your mother has made biryani for you, ठीक है, your favorite biryani or say pav bhaji or say pizza or whatever is your favorite dish, your mother has made for you and you're like, अरे वाह, आज तो घर जाके दावत होगी, मैं तो इतना दबा के खाऊंगा या खाऊंगी. And then your friend also comes with you कि आज I'll also come to your place for eating food, and you'll be like, that food is for me only, I don't want to share it. But then you'll have to share it because somebody else has come home, and you know India में वासुदेव कुटु sorry अतिथि देवो भव, जो घर में गेस्ट आते they are like gods, and you end up sharing it, right? But इससे क्या हुआ, आपको जितना मिलने वाला था उतना नहीं मिला. ठीक है? The same happens in case of weeds. Weeds are nothing but plants. They will take nutrients, they will take sunlight, they will take water, but the farmer is not working so hard to feed a wild plant, and also they are poisonous. So it is very important to remove the weeds before flowering stage, right? Because once the weeds start flowering, they will spread, right? So it's very important to remove them before flowering. Dekho guys, I know you know a lot about it, but here I am going to give you such terms which if you mention in your exam, you are going to get brownie points, right? So make sure that you include these points in while you are writing your answers in the exam. When is your exam? Tell me in the chat. जल्दी से बताइए चैट में साइंस का एग्जाम कब है, ठीक है? Weeds can be removed using a hoe or a weedicide. Weedicide is 2,4-D, or you can also use a seed drill. ठीक है? ओ निशा आपके तो हो गए, चलो बढ़िया है. Okay, is this done? Do you want to take a screenshot or I'll move on to the next? I'll just erase this. Tell me in the chat quickly. If you want, you can take a screenshot or else I'll erase all of this and move on to the next step. क्या बात है, बहुत बढ़िया. Very good आदर्श, very nice. ठीक है, चलिए. So I'll just erase all of this and we'll move ahead. Number 6 comes harvesting. Now, harvesting में it is the time to celebrate, and that is why farmers have festivals. In India also around March, April, we have got a lot of harvest festivals like Baisakhi, Bihu, Pongal, etc. ठीक है? It is the time to celebrate. Now, harvesting can be done using a sickle or using a machine called combine. After harvesting, the farmer has to thresh. Thresh matlab separate the grain from the stalk. Now this can happen either with the help of bullocks, making bullocks walk over it, either hitting it on a surface or using the machine called combine. And after threshing comes winnowing. That is separating the grain from the chaff, and this is done either by hand or a machine, right? And harvesting के बाद the most important steps in agricultural practices. I call it as the most important step because if anything goes wrong in this step, the entire hard work of the farmer is gone. अगर यहाँ पे कुछ भी गड़बड़ हो गई तो पूरे 4 महीने की जो मेहनत है that is gone. What is threshing? Separating the grain from the stalk or the stem. Got it, Adarsh? Now, storage may the farmer has to protect the crops from biotic as well as abiotic factors, right? Storage can be done on large scale, in silos or granaries, or it can be done on the small scale using metallic bins or gunny bags. Farmers can also use a biopesticide. Can you guys give me an example of a biopesticide to keep the insects, microbes and rodents away? Xanthium is an example of a weed. Can you guys give me an example of a biopesticide which the farmers can use to keep the rodents, the pests and the microbes away from the crops? Come on quickly, जिनका एग्जाम हो गया उनको तो पता होना चाहिए. बेसिक्स क्लियर होने बहुत ज़रूरी है गाइज. अगर बेसिक्स आपके क्लियर नहीं हैं तो आगे चल के बहुत प्रॉब्लम आएगा. And I'm very happy that those who are done with their exams, they are also attending the session. example of a biopesticide, can anybody tell me? Hi Ashish. It is dried neem leaves. ठीक है, dried neem leaves is an example of biopesticide. That's really great, Adarsh. ठीक है, so these are the 7 agricultural practices which you learn in your grade 8 का first chapter, crop production and management. ठीक है, चलिए. Now what I'll do is I'll just take you through the slides, right? No, why will you skip class 8? ठीक है, बड़ा ही इंटरेस्टिंग है. So these are the 7 agricultural practices which if you want you can just go through or make a note. Harvesting में है threshing, storage में है silos, granaries. ठीक है, plow is used for plowing. So you can see this is a plow. It has got a sharp end. This is kept on the bullocks. The plow share goes into the soil, right? This is the handle. This is a hoe. You can see it has got a different kind of a plate. It is also used to remove weeds. ठीक है. Then cultivator. Cultivator is a machine that does harvesting as well as plowing together. ठीक है, cultivator, it helps in plowing. Combine does your harvesting and threshing together. जैसा कि मैंने आपको बताया, yes we are live only. Sowing के 2 methods हैं, traditional tool that is a funnel, broadcasting method, or the modern method is using a seed drill. Now obviously this is a little expensive, but it also gives you a very effective sowing of seeds. ठीक है, so just spend some time on it. I'll give you 1 minute to read it and then we'll move ahead. चलिए, done. Thank you so much Ashish, God bless you dear. So you can see this is the traditional tool for plowing, right? And this is the seed drill. You can see automatically the seeds go from here. You can see they are at an equal distance from each other and they also sow it at a very equal depth. Sir, is winnowing a part of sowing? No, Adarsh, winnowing is a part of harvesting. Harvesting has 2 parts, threshing and winnowing. Manure fertilizers, 100% guaranteed question in the exam. What is the difference between manure and fertilizers? This is a 100% guaranteed question in the exam. Please read it. Manure is organic. It is done by the decomposition of biodegradable waste. It can be prepared in the fields. It adds a lot of humus. It is organic in nature. Whereas your fertilizers are inorganic. Examples, super potash, urea, ammonium sulfate, NPK. Fertilizer is prepared in factories and they do not give any humus to the soil. Rather they increase the salinity in the soil, they decrease the fertility of the soil. ठीक है, so manure and fertilizers के ऊपर तो 100% question आएगा, no matter in what school you are, in what board you are. देखा निशा के भी फाइनल एग्जाम में ये क्वेश्चन आया था, गारंटीड क्वेश्चन गाइज. मुझे फॉलो करो, मैं आपको 100 on 100 दिलवाऊंगा साइंस में. जस्ट फॉलो व्हाट आई से, राइट, एंड यू हैव टू ट्रस्ट मी. Trust me and just follow what I say. You will get 100 on 100 in science. ठीक है, देखिए 100% guaranteed question एग्जाम में आया है. निशा is a proof. Then manure and fertilizers में से क्यों manure advantageous है? It is because they increase the water holding capacity, they make the soil porous, they improve the texture of the soil. But what is the disadvantage of manure? It is slow, it is not nutrient specific. Okay? Then irrigation, artificial supply of water to the crop at regular intervals. This is called moat, where the cattle, they pull the bucket over the pulley and the water goes into the field through a channel. This is a moat. Okay? This what you are seeing is a chain pump, where through the chain these buckets are putting water in this channel and the water is going into the field. Okay? Hemoglobin, Ashish, hemoglobin is a pigment which is present in the blood. It is made up of iron and protein. Hemoglobin, the hema part is made of iron and the globulin part is made of protein. Dhekli, you can see this is a dhekli, where with the help of a heavy weight the bucket is taken up and then the farmer puts it in his field. And then you have got the rahat. See, this is a rahat, where the cattle is moving and the buckets are getting up through the wheel and the water is going into the field. So chain pump को ही जब आप cattle के through करते हो, that is your rahat. ठीक है? Then irrigation में sprinkler method में it is done on uneven land, it is done in grasslands, right? And it gives the water through a nozzle like a rainfall, like a shower, right? And that is why it is called sprinkler, where the water is getting sprinkled. Whereas in drip irrigation, water goes drop by drop only to the roots, because actually water is needed only by the root of the plant. So this is done in areas where there is scarcity of water. Also it's very expensive, so very few farmers can afford it. Weed, they are the undesirable plants that grow with the plants. The removal of weeds is called weeding. Manual removing is this cutting them from time to time. It can be done with a khurpi or a seed drill. Whereas spraying weedicide, example is 2,4-D. Weedicides are something which will kill only the weed, not your crop. They will only kill the weed, not your crop, but the farmer has to be careful that when he is spraying weedicide, he covers his hands, nose and mouth, because they are highly poisonous. They are also called as herbicides. ठीक है? तो वीडिंग के जो प्रिकॉशंस है उसके ऊपर भी क्वेश्चंस आ सकते हैं. Guys, you know, basically they test that how well aware are you of your community, how ready are you to face the community and to practice things in the community. And that is why precautionary measures, difference between manure and fertilizers, all these community affecting questions are asked in your exams. ठीक है? Please read this. Harvesting is the time to celebrate. It is when the when the farmers chop their ripe crop, and it can be done by a sickle or a combine which does threshing and harvesting both. Then they do winnowing and threshing. Winnowing mein they will remove the chaff from the grain, and in threshing they will remove the stalk from the grain. So when you make bullocks walk over it, the stem breaks and it separates the grain, or when you just hit them on a hard surface, or you can use a machine called combine. Then storage, the most important steps in crop production and management. You have to protect them from rats, insects, moisture, microorganisms, your any kind of bacterial or fungal growth, and that is why you have to keep them at an optimum temperature. If you keep the seeds at a very high temperature to avoid microbial growth, they will get roasted, right? When you put something in a very hot place, it gets roasted. And when you keep seeds at an optimum temperature, so they will get attacked by microbes, and that is why you have to keep them at a temperature which is below the normal, right? You have to keep them at a temperature below the normal, क्योंकि अगर above the normal रखोगे तो they will get roasted, they will get cooked basically. ठीक है? So this is a silo where you can control the temperature and the nitrogen level, which helps to increase the life of the seeds. This is a granary and this is a go down. Not much difference between a go down and a granary. Chalo. With that, guys, we are done with the first chapter, that is microorganisms, crop production and management. Now we have got 5 more chapters to do. So now we'll start with microorganisms, friend and foe. See, it took us half an hour to finish one chapter. So I think if we go with the same speed, so in 2.5 chapters, that is by 9:30, we'll be done with all the 5 chapters. The microorganisms, friend and foe, what happens is you learn about what are the 5 different types of microorganisms. You learn the characteristics. You learn how microorganisms help us, how microorganisms harm us, how microorganisms harm plants and animals, and you also learn about about food preservation, and you learn about the nitrogen fixation. Okay? So microbes are found everywhere, whether it is polar ice caps, whether it is top of mountains, or whether it is deserts, or whether it is space. Microorganisms are found everywhere on the planet. Everywhere we will find microbes. Okay? Whether it is deepest part of the sea or whether it is highest part in space, you will find microbes everywhere. Some of them are harmful, some of them are useful. Now, when I talk about microorganisms, so I've got 5 different categories of microorganisms, that is bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa and virus. Okay? So let us talk about each of them one by one. Okay? So microorganisms help us by making by helping us to making the batter of idli and dosa, by helping us to make cakes, alcohol, or helping us to make wine, and apart from that they help in fermentation, they help in decomposition, they help in making antibiotics, vaccines, etc. Now microorganisms are 5 different types. If I talk about bacteria at first, so bacteria is something which can be it is a prokaryotic cell. You can find it living single or in colonies. Bacteria come in 4 different shapes. You have got rod shaped, that is bacilli, spear shape, which is cocci, comma shape, which is vibrio, and spiral shape, which is spirilla. Bacteria are autotrophic like Rhodobacter or heterotrophic like E. coli. Also, bacteria are both useful as well as harmful. Useful bacteria include your lactobacillus and bacteria that are used to make your antibiotics. And then you also have harmful bacteria like Salmonella typhi, which causes typhoid, your Vibrio cholerae, which causes cholera, your Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which causes tuberculosis, your Bacillus anthracis, which causes anthrax. Okay? Very good evening, Mr. Number 1 DJ AR. Very good evening. So that is about bacteria. Now the next one is I talk about fungi. So fungi का ऐसा है ना that fungi is a saprotropic microorganism. It is not micro, rather it is macroorganism, because fungi you can see with naked eyes as well. But microorganisms, the name micro means they are so small that you cannot see them with naked eyes. You need a microscope to see them. But fungi are both a combination of plants as well as animals, because they look like plants but they are not plants. They have cell wall which is made of lignin, and they carry out saprotropic mode of nutrition. Matlab they feed on dead and decaying organic matter. Fungi के examples है yeast, mushroom, your bread mold और rhizopus. ठीक है? Then I talk about algae. So यहाँ पर तो algae नहीं दिया है algae का image, but algae is photosynthetic, it is aquatic, and they are found in the form of filaments like your Spirogyra, Spirulina, and they are mostly harmless. ठीक है? Then comes your protozoa. So protozoa is motile, it can move around with the help of pseudopodia or cilia or flagella. Protozoans are also very harmful, like your plasmodium that causes malaria. It is a protozoa. Okay? Examples of protozoa include paramecium, amoeba, etc. And last but not the least, जिसके बारे में I don't think I need to tell you anything, we already know so much, and that is the virus. So viruses are on the borderline of living and non-living. Like fungi are a mixture of plants and animals, viruses are both living and non-living. Why? Because when the virus is out in the environment, in water or air or whatever, it is harmless, right? It is like a non-living entity. But as soon as virus enters a host, it can be a human, it can be a plant, it can be an animal, or it can be another microorganism. The virus becomes living. Okay? And that is when it starts replicating itself and affecting the body of the host. Examples of virus are coronavirus, your HIV virus, your adenovirus, right? Your flavivirus, which causes dengue, chikungunya virus, Ebola virus, all of these are viral diseases. Okay? Now, microorganisms, they help us on the commercial level by helping us to make curd and bread and cheese and cake and alcohol and fermentation. What is fermentation? That when you give sugar to bacteria or yeast, they consume the sugar and release alcohol and carbon dioxide. This release of carbon dioxide helps to make your breads and cakes fluffy and spongy, whereas release of alcohol helps to make alcoholic beverages, right? Then they also help to make your antibiotics. The first antibiotic in the world was penicillin, which was made by Alexander Fleming using a fungi called Penicillium notatum, right? So they help to make antibiotics as well. Another examples of antibiotics are streptomycin, erythromycin, tetracycline. All of these are different kinds of antibiotics. And then when I talk about making vaccines, so microorganisms also help in making vaccines, because vaccine is nothing but a suspension of dead and weak microorganisms which are entered into the body of the host to generate antibodies, and these antibodies remember how to attack the active microbe, active pathogen, if it enters the body next time in the future. Pathogen matlab disease causing microorganism. Okay? And they also help in decomposition by degrading the biodegradable waste. Okay? As I told you, they are used to make antibiotics, they are used to make vaccines. The first vaccine was made by Edward Jenner for smallpox in the year 1798. They increase the soil fertility by fixing the nitrogen in the soil. So nitrogen fixation is done by bacteria which lives in the root nodules of leguminous plants. Leguminous plants include your pea, beans, chana, etc. What these bacteria do is they take the nitrogen from the air, convert it into usable form and give it to the plants. The plants use this converted nitrogen to make proteins, and when we eat these plants we get the protein. Okay? Nitrogen is very important for color and growth of the plant. But even though 78% of the air is nitrogen, the plants or humans or animals, they cannot take nitrogen directly from the air. It has to be converted to a usable form, and this conversion is done by the nitrogen fixing bacteria. Examples are rhizobium and blue-green algae. Blue-green algae is also a type of bacteria only, even though the name is algae. Okay? So, let me just quickly revise with you. You can also call them microbes. There are five different types: bacteria, So these are the five different types of bacteria, five different types of microbes and their characteristics. This is a very nice way to learn all of them at one go. So if you want, please make a note of it, right? If you want, just make a note of it, or you can take a screenshot. This is a very easy way to remember all the different five types of microbes. ठीक है? चलिए, awesome, done. ठीक है? If you want, you can just go back and take a screenshot. I'm erasing it as of now. हाय विनोब अच्छा कन्नड़ा में सिखाओ सर इतना कन्नड़ा आई डोंट नो सो मच ऑफ कन्नड़ा that I'll teach you in Kannada. ठीक है? So guys, these are the uses and the harmful effects of microbes. If you want, you can take a screenshot. Right? This is on one slide. Everything. So basically, you know, microorganisms, friend and foe, इतना easy chapter है. Even your crop production and management. That basically on 2 pages, your 2 chapters are over. If you make very good notes. Right, so on two pages your 2 chapters can be finished if you make your notes very effectively and nicely, right? Chaliye, so that's about it. Let's move ahead. So when I talk about diseases spread by microbes, but they can spread from one person to the other. So if somebody has chicken pox, it is caused by a microorganism, but this chicken pox can now spread from an infected person to a healthy person if precautions are not taken. Like COVID-19. COVID-19 happens because of coronavirus, but once one person gets it, he can spread it to the other by contact. So similarly, there are communicable diseases like COVID-19, chickenpox, tuberculosis, and then there are non-communicable diseases like asthma, cancer, polio, diabetes, heart attack, migraine, headache, right? So there are both communicable and non-communicable diseases caused by microbes, ठीक है, or by genetic factors as well. Like rabies. So rabies happens by the rabies virus to a dog, but when this dog bites a human, the human gets rabies. ठीक है. Cholera happens because of Vibrio cholerae. Cold has about almost 200 viruses. Chickenpox again and tuberculosis again all happen by viruses. Now if I talk about tuberculosis, it is by a bacteria that spreads through air, and the name of the bacteria is Mycobacterium tuberculosis, whereas your measles, chickenpox and polio, they all are caused by a virus. ठीक है? They all have got vaccines which you can take to avoid the disease. Cholera and typhoid both happen by bacteria because of contaminated food and water, that is Salmonella typhi and Vibrio cholerae. Your hepatitis A, B, C happens because of a virus, and your malaria happens because of a protozoa called Plasmodium. The way is to prevent mosquito breeding. Dengue happens because of a virus called flavivirus. ठीक है? So your dengue, chikungunya, they are viral, whereas your malaria is protozoa based disease which happens because of the female Anopheles mosquito that carries the protozoan Plasmodium in its mouth, and when this mosquito bites a human being, it releases the protozoa Plasmodium into the blood of the human that causes malaria in humans. ठीक है? Have a look, and if you have any doubts you can ask me. Then anthrax is fatal. It happens because of a bacteria called Bacillus anthracis. Foot and mouth disease happens in cattle by a virus. Citrus canker happens in citrus fruits by a bacteria. Rust of wheat is fungal, and yellow vein mosaic is viral, that happens in bhindi or okra. So you can see that diseases that microorganisms cause, they happen in both plants as well as animals as well as human beings as well, right? And then food preservation. So we know that microbes, they infect the food if they get access to food and at an optimum temperature. So it is very important to preserve the food from not getting spoiled by the action of microbes. Now there are physical as well as chemical methods to prevent food. Physical methods include sun drying, cooling, chilling, canning, then pasteurization. These are the physical treatments that can be given to the food to prevent its spoilage. Chemical methods include adding of sugar, oil, vinegar, salt, sodium metabisulfite, sodium benzoate, right? These are the chemical methods by which you can preserve the food. You should always make sure that the food is stored at a very low temperature, because 25 to 35 degrees is the perfect temperature for microbial growth. So if you keep the food below 20 degrees, then microbes cannot affect it, and that is why refrigeration is a very good way to preserve food from getting spoiled by the action of microorganisms. Similarly, as I told you, you can use salt, sugar, vinegar, oil, sodium metabisulfite and sodium benzoate. These are preservatives which are used on the commercial scale for preserving food. ठीक है. So I'll just write down physical and chemical methods of food preservation. Right? Chaliye. Then when I talk about nitrogen fixation, hi Ashish, I am in Bangalore at Embibe office, right? So when I talk about nitrogen fixation, basically as I told you, nitrogen is very important for animals to get proteins in the body and for plants to make proteins, right? And for their color and growth. But we know 78% of our air is nitrogen. Yet animals or plants cannot directly take nitrogen from the air. So that is why we have got nitrogen fixing bacteria. These bacteria live in the root nodules of leguminous plants like peas, beans, pulses, and they take the nitrogen from the air, convert it into usable form and feed it to the plant. The plant thus gets the nitrogen and makes certain food products like rajma, chana, and when we eat these foods, we get nitrogen. So nitrogen fixing bacteria is very important to increase the nitrogen content in the plant as well as in the soil. Okay, Ashish, please attend the orientation session on Saturday at 5 o'clock. There I'll be giving you all the information that you're asking for and a lot more. Okay? So that is all about microorganisms, friend and foe. Now what we'll do is we'll switch on to the next chapter, that is conservation, human reproduction, adolescence and pollution. Okay? These 4 chapters we'll be doing now. Okay. So now we'll be doing conservation, reproduction and adolescence. Okay? These 3 chapters we'll be covering now. तो conservation of plants and animals में क्या है? We all know that plants, animals, microorganisms, insects, they all are a very integral part of our ecosystem. So we need to make sure that we conserve all of them to have a very healthy ecosystem. ठीक है? आशीष डजेंट मैटर. देखिए मैं तो वही हूँ ना. आई एम द सेम प्रितेश सर whether I am here or anywhere else, and I am teaching you with the same with the same dedication and with the same emotion as I was teaching you elsewhere. So doesn't matter. If you want to learn from me, I am there for you, right? I don't think it matters. The label doesn't matter. What matters is that how are you getting to learn from that particular person, है ना? चलिए. So it is very important that we know certain terms when we are talking about this chapter. Like biosphere, it is a part of the earth where there is all the life. Biological diversity is the different types of plants and animals that we find in the ecosystem and their interrelationship. Deforestation is the cutting down of trees for multiple reasons. There are man-made reasons like urbanization, mining, paper, furniture, timber, right? And then there are natural causes also like earthquake or a forest fire. Species is a group of interbreeding organisms. God bless you, Ashish, always. Now, deforestation happens because for urbanization or housing or for making furniture or forest fire, the consequences are global warming, droughts, floods, depletion in the groundwater, change in soil properties, and even desertification. Super important, guaranteed question in the class on causes and consequences, guaranteed question in the exam on causes and consequences of deforestation. Please, 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 I'll give you 1 minute 60 seconds, at least read them all for 5 times. ठीक है, 5 बार इसे पढ़िए. I'll give you 1 minute. चलिए, time starts now. Just read. सर 9th के न्यू बायोलॉजी सिलेबस में इम्प्रूवमेंट चैप्टर है कि नहीं, प्लीज़ बता दीजिए, मैं बहुत परेशान हूँ, प्लीज़ प्लीज़ प्लीज़. उत्कृष्टता ज़रूर है. 9th के बायो में यू हैव गॉट ओनली 3 चैप्टर्स, सेल, टिश्यूज, फूड रिसोर्सेज. दैट्स इट, ओनली 3 चैप्टर्स. अभी मैंने थोड़ी देर पहले एक सेशन किया है where I have taught you, where I have told you about the new syllabus of CBSE. Please go and watch that session. Utkrishta, there are only 3 chapters from bio: cell, tissues and food resources. Baki, why do we fall ill, diversity, natural resources, all those have been removed. Happy Utkrishta, परेशान होना नहीं है बिल्कुल. चलिए, ठीक है, आगे. Conservation of forest and wildlife. So we have got 3 different types of ways to conserve the forest and wildlife. Sanctuaries where animals are protected, national parks where there are reserves for wildlife and they can freely be in the natural habitat, whereas biosphere reserve is something that conserves both plants and animals. Ashish, just like at 6:30, I, Ankana ma'am and Surabhi ma'am, we did a combined session on the new syllabus given by NCERT. In that new syllabus, we have told about the changes in syllabus of science, social studies and mathematics. So please have a look. Okay? So sanctuaries, national park and biosphere reserve. Biosphere reserve can have sanctuary and national park in it, right? So biosphere reserve is a huge area that does not only conserve plants, animals, microbes, it also conserves the tribal people living in there. It also conserves the community living in there, and basically it's a huge area like the Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. The Pachmari Biosphere Reserve, it is home to birds, mammals, reptiles and butterfly species. It consists of 1 national park and 2 wildlife sanctuaries like the Bori and the Pachmari. It has got endangered species and very old culture as well. Okay? The Pachmari Biosphere Reserve is also a home to the giant squirrel or the crested serpent eagle. Okay? So the crested serpent eagle or the giant squirrel, they both are found in the Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. Wild mango is also found in the Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. So it is responsible for conserving a large number of species of plants as well as animals. Endemic species. Endemic species means the ones those who belong to a particular area, like giraffe is endemic to Africa, right? So when you have a particular species that belongs to a particular area, that is called as endemic species. Like sal, wild mango, bison, Indian giant squirrel and the flying squirrel, they are endemic to the Pachmari Biosphere Reserve. Okay? See, this is the Indian bison. So when you see this is the flying squirrel, Can you see how it is flying like a bat? So nice. Anyway, so when you find a particular kind of a species which is found only in one particular region, that is called as an endemic species. Then you have got endangered species which are on the verge of extinction. Extinct species, those have already vanished from the face of earth, like woolly mammoth, dodo, golden frog, right? You have got vulnerable species, right? So endangered species are on the face of extinction, like the wild buffalo, tiger, the barasingha, blue whale. ठीक है. Now why do species get extinct? Obviously hunting, poaching, then you have got pollution, deforestation, grazing, etc. So there are multiple reasons for why animals are getting endangered and extinct. Now it's very important for us to understand that even whether it is a housefly or whether it is an amoeba or whether it is an elephant or whether it is a tiger, each and every organism in the ecosystem is important, and that is why they are there, right? It's very important for us, it becomes our duty to preserve, to conserve and to protect each of these entities of the ecosystem, because even if one of them is gone, the entire ecosystem gets disrupted, right? So we have to not let organisms get endangered, and we have to keep them healthy and comfortable in the environment. Extinct animals, those who have gone from the face of the earth. Red Data book gives you information of all the different types of plants, animals, insects, microorganisms who are endangered. The birds who cover long distances to reach another land are known as migratory bird, and here I would like to tell you about the Arctic tern, right? The Arctic tern. Now Arctic tern is a bird that circumnavigates the earth. It goes around the entire earth, right? It goes around the entire earth, and it is such a strong and resilient bird that they say for six months it does not touch the land. Imagine, it is so strong that it does not touch the land for 6 months. So what it does is, even if it wants to eat, it will just come, eat and fly off. It won't touch the land. It is such a strong bird, and it circumnavigates the entire earth. They fly for laying eggs as the weather in their natural habitat becomes very cold and inhospitable. So we know about the migratory birds like Siberian cranes, who every winters migrate to Bharatpur in Rajasthan, because the weather in Siberia becomes extremely cold, and that is why every October, November it is a very good time to go bird watching in the Bharatpur bird sanctuary, which is in Rajasthan, where you can see birds coming from different parts of the country, different parts of the world, and they all are in Bharatpur bird sanctuary. So they come there because the weather in their particular habitat is very, very cold. So, and this is the perfect time for them to mate, to breed and to lay eggs, and that is why for 4-5 months the Siberian cranes and all other different exotic breeds of birds, they come to Bharatpur and they lay eggs, they mate, and they spend a very, very good time. And then when the temperature in Siberia again becomes normal, they go back. Now the scientists have been trying to find out that how do birds find their way from Siberia to Bharatpur, or how does an Arctic tern circumnavigate the entire earth. So this is a very, very big mystery, that how do birds find their route. Some say they they align with the earth's magnetic field. Some say they align with the winds, and scientists are still baffled on how do birds have their own GPS, that is the global positioning system. So again, reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's of waste management. You should recycle paper, you should reduce the use of plastic, and whatever waste is there, that you must reuse as much as possible in different manner. Reforestation is, reforestation is growing trees where there were trees earlier, they have been cut down, and now you are again growing. So reforest, there was a forest and now you are reforesting it. Right? Afforestation is where there was no forest and now you are planting trees for the first time. That is a forest. So reforest, forest था, काट दिया, again you're growing, which means reforest. Afforest means forest कभी भी नहीं था, you're growing it for the first time, that is afforestation. Both are very very important for the climate. Also they say that if in a place deforestation has happened, if in a place deforestation has happened and you leave it for 20 years, you leave it for 20 years as it is, a new forest will grow on its own. So suppose there is deforestation that has happened somewhere, and if you leave that place untouched for 20 years, a forest will grow back. So nice, the nature has its own way of healing. Amazing, fantastic. Now, with this we come to the next chapter, right? That is reproduction in animals. 5 chapters हम कर रहे हैं आज. Crop production, microorganisms, conservation, reproduction and adolescence. So now we have come to the new chapter. But before starting the new chapter, we'll take a break of say couple of minutes and then we'll start off. Okay? So just take a 2-minute break and then we'll start with reproduction. Yes, so hi guys, welcome back. And now we are talking about reproduction. तो 2 chapters हैं और that is reproduction in animals as well as your reaching the age of adolescence. तो reproduction क्या है? Reproduction is a life process. No wonder it is a life process, but it is not an essential life process. It is not essential to live. It is essential to continue the population of species on the planet. For example, अभी इस छोटू क्यूट से बेबी को ही ले लेते हैं. इमेजिन दिस बेबी इज द लास्ट ह्यूमन बीइंग ऑन द प्लैनेट. ये लास्ट है, इसके बाद और कोई ह्यूमन है ही नहीं, या इसके साथ और कोई ह्यूमन नहीं. ही इज द लास्ट ह्यूमन ऑन द प्लैनेट. ही हैज ऑल द एक्सेस टू द वर्ल्ड्स फूड, वाटर, क्लोथिंग, शेल्टर. सब कुछ है इसके पास. will this baby be able to survive? Yes or no? Definitely yes. Why? Because what does a person need to survive? Person needs oxygen, he is getting. Person needs food, he is getting. Person needs water, he is getting. Person needs shelter, he is getting. How mentally stable he'll be, that is not a topic of discussion, but then obviously he'll survive because he has got food, water, clothing, shelter, oxygen, everything, right? Now the question is, what after him? After him there will be no humans on the earth. So that is why I tell that reproduction is not an essential life process, but it is essential to continue life on the planet. Okay? Now reproduction can happen either asexually, where there is only one parent involved, where there is no formation of gametes, no mixing of gametes, no variation seen, and it happens in simple organisms like amoeba shows binary fission, your Spirogyra shows fragmentation, then there is regeneration, vegetative propagation, etc., etc. And then there is sexual reproduction, where there is a male and a female involved, there is formation of gametes, there is mixing of gametes, there is variation seen, and you have in males a male reproductive system in human beings, and in females there is a female reproductive system. The sperm of the human male and the egg of the human female, they merge together to form a single cell called zygote, and which grows into an embryo, which goes into the fetus, and the fetus is then called a baby when it comes out after 9 months, 280 days or 40 weeks. So the process through which living beings produce new ones of its own kind is called reproduction. It is used to continue the species, add new species by variation, replace dead organisms, and transfer variations from one generation to the other. It can happen either sexually or asexually. When I am talking about egg laying organisms, so you have got oviparous who lay eggs, you have got viviparous who give birth to direct young ones, and then you have got something called as oviviparous, like the platypus. Okay? Also, when I am talking about fertilization, I know internal fertilization that happens, the fusion of the sperm and ovum happen inside the mother in case of a hen or in case of a human, and then there is external fertilization where eggs are laid, sperms are laid, they both meet somewhere else in water, and that is external fertilization that is seen in frogs. As I told you, in asexual reproduction there is only one parent, no gametes, no mixing of genes, no variation, and zygotes are not formed. Whereas in sexual there are two parents, gametes are produced, mixing of genes, and zygote is formed. Then binary fission is where first the nucleus divides, then the cytoplasm divides, and finally one mother cell divides into two daughter cells who are identically similar, and that is called binary fission. The meaning of the word binary means two and fission means splitting. So splitting of one cell into two is called as binary fission, seen in amoeba. Multiple fission is seen in Plasmodium, it is seen in amoeba as well in case of unfavorable conditions like scarcity of water. Budding. Budding is when a bud starts developing from the mother cell, right? It grows, and when it is grown enough, it detaches itself from the mother and starts living like an independent organism. That is called as budding. What is the importance of zygote others? Zygote is a single cell that is formed by the fusion of sperm and ovum. The nucleus of the sperm and the nucleus of the ovum, they both are present in the zygote. So zygote is a single cell with two nuclei, right? Then when I talk about the male reproductive system, under the male reproductive system there are certain parts which I need to know, like testes. So testes are two in number. The function of the testes is to produce the sperms, and to produce the sperms, testes need to have a temperature 2 to 3 degrees less than the body temperature, and that is why they are located in a sac of skin outside the body, which is called as the scrotum. So the testes are located in the scrotum. This scrotum, because it is outside the body, it will maintain the temperature 2 to 3 degrees less than the body temperature. Now, in case of winters, the body's temperature itself is less. So, the scrotum does not need to be away from the body, and that is why you will observe in males that in winters the scrotum shrinks and the testes touch the body to have that warmth. And in case of summers, it's opposite. The body's temperature itself is high and they need to have a lesser temperature. So, the scrotum goes more away from the body and it sags. Now, in case of the testes, after the sperms are made, they are stored over here. This is the highly coiled structure called epididymis, which stores the mature sperms. On ejaculation, the sperms are released from the vas deferens. The vas deferens is also called as the sperm duct or ductus deferens. Duct means tube. When the sperms reach here, there are certain glands which pour their secretions into the sperms to make them alkaline, to make them more motile and nutritious. And these glands are seminal vesicles, prostate gland and the Cowper's gland or the bulbourethral gland. So, the vas deferens from here to here is called as the ejaculatory duct. The seminal vesicles will give its secretion to the flowing sperms. The prostate gland will give its secretion to the flowing sperm. The bulbourethral gland will give its secretions to the flowing sperms. And now the sperms are called as semen. Basically, semen is a whitish fluid which is a composition of sperm and nourishments or secretions from these three, 1, 2, 3. And finally, the sperm comes out through the urethra, which is a part of the penis, which is an erectile organ, right? And urethra in males is the common passage for sperms as well as urine. Okay? So, this is about your male reproductive system. When I talk about the female reproductive system, it is a little simpler, but the processes are complex. Before that, let me also talk to you about the sperm. Right? So, this is the head, this is the middle piece and this is the tail. This has mitochondria to provide energy to the flowing sperm. Here is the nucleus and this is acrosome. Which is useful for dilating the wall of the ovum. Okay? Sperm is the smallest cell of the human body. Now, when I move on to the female reproductive system, here you will find a lot of similarity with the male reproductive system. Like males had a pair of testes, females have a pair of ovaries. Males had vas deferens, females have fallopian tubes. Okay? Males have a penis, females have a vagina. So this vagina, यहाँ इसके opening को बोला जाता है vulva, and vagina is also called as the birth canal. Now, the male penis enters the vagina, during coitus and it releases the sperms. So the sperms travel throughout the female reproductive system. We'll come to that later. When I am talking about the female reproductive system, I have got a pair of ovaries, and when a female is born, each of her ovaries have got 60,000 immature eggs. Each of her ovaries have got 60,000 immature eggs. And when the female reaches her puberty, that is at the age of 10 or 11, one egg from one ovary starts maturing every month. The ovum releases from the ovary into the fallopian tube. It is picked up by these finger-like projections which we call as fimbriae, and the ovum travels. It travels through the fallopian tube and goes and waits in the uterus. It will wait for a couple of days, and then at the beginning of the menstrual cycle, because the uterus thinks it is not an ovum but it is a fertilized embryo, the uterus will start preparing its wall by cushioning of blood vessels. Because uterus thinks that, array, I am going to have a baby that is going to develop over here. So the uterus will prepare itself to receive the embryo, and it is not an embryo, it is just a egg cell. So finally the uterus will be sad, and at the beginning of the menstrual cycle, this entire thing, the blood vessels, one dead ovum, everything will just come out of the female in the form of menstrual flow. Now, in case the female has undergone coitus, as I told you in the beginning, the sperm cells will flow all over the female reproductive tract. They will flow everywhere. Now, if a sperm finds an ovum over here, it will fertilize with it, and the zygote will be formed, which will start dividing itself, making an embryo, and the embryo will now fix itself in the female uterus. And when there is a successful fixing of the embryo in the uterus, that is called as implantation. Only on successful implantation, the female is called to be pregnant. After implantation, the embryo grows into fetus. When do we call embryo as fetus? When you can identify all the body parts of the embryo. You can identify the head, neck, torso, hands, legs. That is when you will call the embryo as fetus. And when will you call fetus as a baby? Only when it is out of the mother. So at the end of 280 days or 40 weeks or 9 months, when the fetus comes out, that is when you will call it a baby. Till then, in medical terms, you will call it as a embryo, as a fetus. Okay? Finally, at the end of 9 months or in the 9th month, the fetus, just before few days of birth, it will turn itself. The head will be here and the baby will be upside down. So, these will be the legs, these will be the hands, and this will be the head of the baby. So, the baby will come out through the vagina, it will come out of the body of the female. Okay? So, that is the process of parturition, gestation, and this is the female reproductive system. See, first the female produces ovum, the male produces sperm, they both meet and they form a single cell called zygote, that is called fertilization. After fertilization, the zygote divides into embryo, The embryo goes and fixes itself in the uterus, which is called implantation. It grows into fetus, and the fetus is called as a baby. Read this. I'll give you 1 minute. Your time starts now. चलिए अब आगे बढ़ेंगे. डॉटर सेल्स ऑफ वॉट आदर्श, किसके डॉटर सेल्स की बात कर रहे हैं आप? सो यू कैन सी ओवर हियर, सी the female ovum has released during ovulation, which is a part of the menstrual cycle. The sperm has also come. The sperm fused with the ovum to form zygote. The zygote will now start dividing, and it has made the embryo. The embryo will go through the fallopian tube and fix itself into the uterus. Successful implantation is called as a pregnancy. See, this is implantation. Then the placenta will be formed, which is a circular disc which helps in the exchange of gases, nutrients and waste between the growing fetus or growing embryo and the mother. Now, viviparous are the ones who give birth directly to young ones like humans, cats, dogs, and then there are oviparous who lay eggs, where the egg and the sperm, they fertilize inside the mother, but the embryo develops a shell around itself, and the remaining growth of the embryo happens inside the egg which is laid by the mother, like frog, hen, lizard, butterfly, etc. So, human beings, dogs, cats, they undergo growth, which means when a baby is born, baby has got a head, neck, torso, hands, legs. The same body parts grow in size when the baby grows, but there are certain animals who undergo a complete 360-degree transformation, right? Like frog, like butterfly, like mosquito. See, now these are the frog eggs. They have fertilized, they undergo external fertilization, and if you look at the tadpole stage, if you look at the tadpole stage of a frog, who will look at this and say it is going to grow into this? We cannot even imagine, right? So this is the early tadpole, late tadpole, young adult and adult frog. Do you know that when the frog is in the tadpole stage, it has got gills, but a frog doesn't have gills. So where did the gills go? That is what is metamorphosis. A complete transformation from larva to adult is called as metamorphosis, which can be seen in frog, silkworm, butterfly as well as mosquito. But silkworm to grows into very beautiful insect called the Bombyx mori, which is the silk moth. It's so cute and so beautiful. Okay? Now we'll be starting the last chapter, that is reaching the age of adolescence. Okay? इस chapter में we'll be talking about what is adolescence, what is puberty, what are the physical, behavioral, emotional and hormonal changes that a person undergoes during puberty, and the changes in males, the changes in females. We'll be talking a little bit about the reproductive health as well. So, adolescence is a phase of life like infancy, like youth, old age. Similarly, there is adolescence. Okay? It starts from the age of 10, 11 and stays till 18, 19. So, it's almost a 8-year phase of your life. From 10 to 18, you are an adolescent. After 18, you are called as a adult. Okay? So, 10 to 18 is adolescence, where you are called as an adolescent. During the adolescence, there are 5 years where your body undergoes a lot of changes, and those changes ka period is called as puberty. So, puberty is a part of adolescence. During adolescence, you undergo sexual maturity, which means you get prepared to sexually reproduce. During your puberty, you also undergo physical changes. Your body grows in size. You start, developing certain kind of features in your body. Like in case of boys, you start developing beard, you start developing hair on the chest, underarm. Your your hands and legs become more hairy. Hair in the pubic region. The size of the reproductive organs increase. You become muscular. Shoulders broaden, chest widens. In case of boys. In case of girls, hair starts appearing in the underarm, hair starts appearing in the pubic region, hips become, more, your body becomes more curvy because the hips get fat deposition. There is a development of the breasts in females. Acne on the face, acne on the back, all of these are your physical changes. When I talk about behavioral changes during puberty, you start to becoming more private. Before this you would just walk out of the washroom in front of your parents and family. Now when you're changing, you will close the door. You need privacy. You start thinking about how am I looking, how am I smelling, am I smelling good, am I looking good. You start getting attracted to people. You can get attracted towards the opposite sex or towards the same sex. You start developing attraction towards people around you. You start also getting very cranky. The things which were okay to you few years back, now these things start irritating you. You develop a sense of privacy. You want privacy from, your parents, your friends, right? Also, you go through a lot of mood swings during this age. Now, why? The biggest question is, why is all this happening to your body? Why your body is changing? Why your behavior is changing? Why your moods are changing? Why in the morning you're like, oh, I love you Zindagi, and why by the evening you're like, I hate my life? Why does this happen? The reason for all of this is only one. It's called hormones. Now, hormones are chemical messengers of the body. They are secreted into your body right the time you're born. But then during puberty, there is a sudden secretion of certain hormones, and that is what is doing the entire trick, right? So, puberty is a period of 5 years where your body undergoes a lot of changes and you develop sexual maturity. During this puberty, your body undergoes physical, behavioral, emotional changes and intellectual maturity as well. So, increase in the height, it happens because of the elongation of the bones of legs and arms, right? Height depends on the genes, and right kind of food is very important during your adolescence because your body is growing at a rapid rate. If at this rapid rate your body is not given with the nutrition that you need, there can be repercussions. So that is why it's very important that during this age your body gets good amount of nutrients, which means it's very important that you get a balanced diet, having a proper proportion of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, roughage, water. So, in boys if I talk, muscle development, broad shoulders, wider chest, wider hips and development of breasts in women. So, you can see. So, the thing is that girls touch their puberty faster. Girls reach their puberty at 10 or 11. boys reach their puberty at 11 or 12. So even though girls start early, they grow also faster, but eventually boys grow taller and bigger than girls. That is how the growth hormone works in both boys and girls. Now there are certain girls who are bigger than boys also, right? They are bigger in height, in their body shape, they are bigger than boys. Now that all depends on your genes and your growth hormone secretion. Then there is a change in the voice as well. So what happens when boys are in their puberty, they say the voice cracks, it becomes more hoarse. Okay? There is a difference in the voice of a boy and in the voice of a man. You talk to a 7-year-old kid and you talk to a 26-year-old man, you will see a difference in the voice. Why? Because during puberty, boys develop a low-pitched voice. Okay? They develop a low-pitched voice. In some cases, you can also see the Adam's apple. Adam's apple is nothing but your voice box which starts protruding. In girls, the Adam's apple is not visible. In boys, it is visible. They develop a low-pitched deep voice, whereas girls develop a high-pitched voice. So I'll tell you, basically, before puberty, there is not much difference between a boy or a girl, even on the physical level. The voice of a 5-year-old boy and the voice of a 5-year-old girl is very similar. But when they touch their puberty, there is a distinction between a boy and a girl, right? So before puberty, there is not much difference between boys and girls. Only after they are in their puberty, you can distinctly differentiate between a boy and a girl. Then, as I told you, the appearance of acne on the face, acne on the back. Why does this happen? It is because there is an increased activity of your sweat glands and oil glands. And because of sweat and oil on the face and the back, it attracts dust. That is why acne happens. Okay? It can cause pimples, acne and bacterial infection. Now basically what happens is, suppose this is your skin surface. Okay? Because it is full of oil and sweat, it attracts dust. Now, whenever a dust particle sticks on your skin, for your blood, it is a foreign body. So what will the blood do? The blood will want to remove it from your body. So the blood vessels, especially your WBCs, will surround it and they will try to destroy the foreign body. Now this surrounding is nothing but your pimple, right? It is basically your body fighting the foreign body, that is dust. So even though there is no 100% guarantee that you will not develop any kind of pimples and acne during your puberty, a preventive method is wash your face regularly, at least 3 times a day. Wash your face with clean water and do not dab it with a napkin. Do not dab it with a napkin. If you have washed your face with clean water, let it air dry. Let it air dry. Do not overwash, because these oils which your skin is producing, they are also very good for your skin. So do not overwash your face, but wash your face 3 times a day and at least two times let it air dry. Okay? That will definitely prevent the pimples. Now when I talk about development of sex organs, during puberty, boys start producing sperms. Before puberty, boys cannot produce sperms. But from puberty till death, boys will start sperm production. एक second. Sperm production, it starts from puberty till death in boys, whereas ovum maturation, as I told you, when a girl is born, already each of her ovary have got almost 60,000 eggs. So girls do not produce ovum. They already have ovum when they are born, but when they touch their puberty, they start maturing it. So ovum maturation happens from puberty only till 45 to 50 age. Which means a girl is able to reproduce, a girl is reproductively mature only for 35 years of her life. Whereas a boy or a man is able to reproduce from puberty till death, because sperm production never stops. Ovum maturation stops anywhere between 45 to 50, it will stop. Intellectual and emotional maturity also happens during this age. You know, like logical and complex thinking, capacity to learn new things is on its peak, and that is why you are in your 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th degree, your post graduation during this age. You think a lot, hormones cause emotional changes, feeling insecure is a part of growing up. Talking about how you feel is very, very important, and that is why I always tell in my classes, especially for this particular chapter, is that this is the most beautiful phase of your life. You can make it the worst, it's up to you, but I would say it is the most beautiful phase of your life because you're growing up. This is never going to come back, and that is why it's very important to have a mentor during this age. It's very important that you find people whom you can talk to, you find people whom you can connect with, you find people whom you can have a bond with, and you can express yourself. Whatever you're going through, you can just express without being judged, and this has to be somebody who is elder. This sharing cannot be with somebody who is going through the same age. It has to be somebody who has crossed this age, right? So make sure that you always have a mentor, make sure that you always have somebody whom you can express with that, I'm going through this, and somebody who will guide you in the correct direction. And I'll also here would specially like to mention, guys, that you can always and always connect with me to talk about anything in the world at my Instagram handle, that is biology with Pritesh. So you can follow me on this, you can message me, and I will always be there for you. Okay? So you can follow me at my Insta handle, that is biology with Pritesh. Now, secondary sexual characteristics. So as I told you that when a boy and a girl touch their puberty, you can actually differentiate between a boy and a girl. And these differentiation characteristics physically are called as secondary sexual characters. And as I told you, all the changes are controlled by hormones. The secondary sexual characters are controlled by the sex hormones. In boys, that hormone is called as testosterone. Okay? See, they help to differentiate between males and females. And in girls, those hormones are called as estrogen and progesterone. See, the secondary sexual characters in females are pimples, acne on the face and the back, breast enlargement, hips widening because of fat deposition, hair on the legs, hair in the armpit region, pubic hair, and maturation of ovum. And these are controlled by the female sex hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. Whereas in case of boys, they are controlled by it is controlled by one hormone called testosterone. Beard and mustache, hair on the chest, hair in the pubic region, hair on the hands and legs, underarm hair, increase of the reproductive organs, pimples on the face and the back, these all are secondary sexual characters controlled by testosterone. Then, as I told you about the reproductive phase, in females it is only 35 years, 35 to 40 years, and in males it is from birth till death. Now, that is called as the menstrual cycle. So in female, as soon as the female touches her puberty, she starts menstruating, and the first time the menstrual cycle starts, that is called as menarche. It starts at the age of 10 or 11 and it lasts till 45 to 50, and when the menstrual cycle stops permanently, that is called as menopause. So female undergoes menstrual cycle every month, but the first menstrual cycle is called as menarche, and the last menstrual cycle of the life is called as menopause. which happens anywhere between 45 to 50, and the menarche happens anywhere between 10 to 11. Now, what is the menstrual cycle? So the menstrual cycle is a cycle of 28 to 30 days. The first phase, which lies for 4 to 5 days, it is called as the menstrual phase, where there is a loss of blood throughout these 5 days in little quantities, and this blood contains broken capillaries, one dead ovum and other blood vessels from the uterus. The next phase, which is for 8 days, it is called as the follicular phase. During this phase, the uterus prepares itself to receive an egg, and uterus thinks I am going to get an embryo. So the uterus prepares itself to get an embryo, and the egg matures in the ovary, right? And then happens the ovulatory phase, which is only for 24 hours. During this phase, the mature ovum releases from the ovary and goes through the fallopian tube into the uterus. And then comes the resting phase, that is the luteal phase. During this phase, the ovum now dies off. It stays in the uterus. The uterus also is very sad that, oh, I wanted an embryo but I got an egg only, because no fertilization happened. And at the end of 28 or 30 days, again it comes back, where the uterus has realized that the egg is not fertilized and it sheds off. Now, in case here fertilization happens, suppose the ovum meets the sperm, the female undergoes coitus. So what happens? It will reach the luteal phase, and this will stay on forever for 9 months. And what happens after 9 months? The baby is delivered. But what about the menstrual cycle after that? The menstrual cycle goes on. The menstrual phase goes on because it stopped that luteal phase. The menstrual phase will now go on for almost 1.5 months. And that is why after a female delivers a baby, for almost 1.5 months, a female undergoes menstrual cycle. That means a female undergoes menstrual phase, and she bleeds. Whatever the uterus has made the cushioning, all that cushioning comes out for almost 1.5 months in little quantities, and after that, after few days, the menstrual cycle comes back on its regular time period. Now, talking about sex determination. So, each and every cell of a human body has got 46 chromosomes. Each and every cell of a human body has got 46 chromosomes, whether it is a male or a female. 46 in every cell. Out of these 46, 44 are your body chromosomes, whereas 2 are sex chromosomes. Out of these 2, if it is a male, it is XY, whereas if it is a female, it is XX, which means each and every cell of your body has got 46, and if you are a male, it is 44 plus XY, and if it is a female, it is 44 plus XX. Now, all the cells have 46, but if you are a male, the sperm cell will have 45, that is 44 plus X or 44 plus Y in case of sperm cells. And if you are a female, you will have 45 plus X, because you produce only one egg per month at a time. ठीक है? Or it will be 44 plus X or 44, no, it will be 45 only, 45 plus X or 45 plus X. ठीक है. Now it will be half, it will not even be 45, it will be half, which means it will be 23, which will be 22 plus x or 22 plus y. 22 plus x or 22 plus x, because the number halves, and that is by the process of meiosis. Meiosis is a type of cell division where 46 becomes 23, that is 22 plus xy or 22 plus x in case of female. Now what happens is, if the Y sperm, now when a male ejaculates, he releases 3 million sperms. 1.5 million are 22 plus x and 1.5 million are 22 plus y. But a female will release only one egg, which is 22 plus x. But if the Y chromosome comes from the male, it will be, female can have only x. So if the Y chromosome comes from the male, it will be 22 plus y plus 22 plus x, which will be 44 plus x plus y, which will be 44 plus xy, which will be 46 having xy, and the child will be a boy. But if the male gives x sperm, so that will be 44 plus x from female, that is 46 having XX, which will be a female child. So a male out of 3 million sperm cells produces 1.5 sperm cells having X chromosome, 1.5 sperm cells having Y chromosome, and a female can produce only X egg. If the Y goes to the ovum first, it will be XY, that is a boy child. If the X chromosome goes to the ovum, it will be XX, which will be a female child, that is a daughter. Does it depend on any factor? No. Can anyone control it? No. But a male has a capacity of producing two types of chromosomes. A female has capacity of producing only one type of chromosome, that is X. Now if the male का अगर Y sperm पहले आ गया, it will be a boy. अगर X sperm पहले आ गया, तो it will be a girl. It is not under anybody's control. Talking about hormones, so as I told you, hormones are the chemical messengers of the body secreted by endocrine glands. There is pituitary gland, hypothalamus, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, testes in males, ovaries in females. Hormones, even if they are secreted in, even like they are secreted, first of all they are secreted in very less quantities. But even if they are secreted a little less or a little more, it can cause severe problems. Hormones are secreted through the blood, and they are secreted by endocrine glands through the blood, and they act on the side away from the secretion site. ठीक है? Testosterone are the male sex hormones which control secondary sexual characters in males, and estrogen is the female sex hormone which controls secondary sexual characters in females. Progesterone is also a sex hormone, but that is used for maintaining pregnancy. See, these are the different endocrine glands. Here is a list. Pituitary gland, which is called as the master endocrine gland because it controls all the different endocrine glands. It secretes growth hormone responsible for the growth of the body. The testes in males secrete testosterone responsible for secondary sexual characters in males, and estrogen is secreted by the ovaries which is responsible for secondary sexual characters in females. Ovaries also secrete progesterone, which is responsible for maintaining the pregnancy. Thyroid gland secretes thyroxine and calcitonin. Thyroxine is responsible for the metabolism of the body. Under secretion of thyroxine can cause simple goiter. Over secretion of thyroxine can cause exophthalmic goiter. Calcitonin is responsible for the calcium regulation. Under secretion of growth hormone can cause dwarfism or cretinism. Over secretion of growth hormone can cause gigantism or acromegaly. Under secretion of testosterone or estrogen can cause virilism. Pancreas secrete insulin, which is responsible for controlling the blood glucose level. Glucagon also takes care of the blood sugar. Adrenal glands secrete adrenaline, which is also called as epinephrine or norepinephrine, and they are responsible for the fight or flight response in the body. Adrenal glands also control the salt water balance in the body. Then hormones other than the sex hormone. So as I told you, growth hormone for growth of the body, thyroxine for metabolism, insulin for blood glucose level, adrenal for salt water balance and for the fight or flight response, right? So guys, this was all about your chapters like crop production and management we did first, where we talked about the 7 agricultural practices: preparation of soil, sowing of seeds, manure and fertilizers, irrigation, weeding, harvesting, storage. Then we spoke about microorganisms, where we spoke about bacteria, fungi, algae, protozoa, viruses, their uses, their harmful effects and food preservation. Then we came to conservation, where we spoke about ecosystem, your sanctuaries, wildlife, your sanctuaries, national park and biosphere reserve. We spoke about deforestation, causes, consequences. We spoke about red data book, endemic species, endangered species, vulnerable species, extinct species, right? We also spoke, then we came to reproduction in animals, where we spoke about asexual, sexual. Asexual may we spoke about budding, then binary fission, then vegetative propagation, your fragmentation, regeneration, right? Then we spoke about under sexual reproduction, male reproductive system, testes, vas deferens, epididymis, prostate gland, seminal vesicles, bulbourethral gland, ejaculatory duct, urethra, and your sperm cell structure. We spoke about female reproductive system, ovaries, oviducts, uterus, cervix, vagina, zygote, that is we spoke about fertilization, internal, external, zygote, embryo, fetus, implantation, gestation, parturition. We spoke about oviparous, viviparous, right? Reproductive health. And then we came to adolescence, where we spoke about what is adolescence, what is puberty, how puberty is a part of adolescence. Under puberty, you undergo changes on the physical level, behavioral level, intellectual level. They all are because of hormones. What are hormones? What are the changes that the body undergoes? What is metamorphosis? And a lot more, right? So this was all about your 5 chapters of your grade 8 biology, which I covered today in one shot, and we were able to cover them in 2 hours. So we started at 7 and we are completing it at 5. I hope this long session was useful for you. You were able to, do a lot. You were able to understand a lot. Your concepts got cleared. I gave you a lot of notes also. I hope you have taken the screenshot. If not, you can always go back. And guys, your exams are around the corner. So please share this video with all your friends. Do not forget to give this video a big fat thumbs up, share it and subscribe to the channel because it's absolutely free of cost. And with that guys, what else to tell you? Do connect with us on Telegram, because here you'll get the PDFs. You can also, download the notes. You get all the updates of whatever is happening on the channel, and you also can get your academic doubts solved from your favorite educators. I hope this session was fruitful, and if it was guys, make sure that you spread the word about it, right? Until then guys, this is Pritesh, your host, your dose and a proud educator from Embibe, signing off for now. Take care of yourself, stay healthy, stay happy, stay blessed, and do not forget to keep imbibing. We believe in you.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.